and welcome to my channel once again, hopefully. Today, as you will see by the title, of course, or have seen by the title, this video today is about Elementor, and I'm asking the question to myself and to you, is Elementor really that bad? And the reason for that video comes from a long time ago that I've been thinking about it, especially since the release of version 3, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago already. There have been some problems with the release of version 3, especially with add-ons. I didn't have any problems, honestly, but I know that some people did. And since then, a lot of people have complained about Elementor, the famous divception that we've heard also popularized by another tool, another page builder. And not saying that it was wrong, but still, and there's been more and more complaints about it with the release of Bricks Builder not too long ago, and so on. So I'm asking myself, is it that bad? Then again, lately, as you see here, there was a WP Builder Fight Club, just for fun, okay, just for fun. We didn't go into much detail about it. And then again, you see that most page builders have pretty decent score out of the box without, of course, any cache plugins and things like that. So out of the box, most of them have pretty decent score. On my side, I did the Bricks Builder one and the live Canvas one. And the second Bricks Builder one, little difference between the second and third, and there are reasons for that. I won't go into details right now. But you see the score among the best scores out there, 98, 97 or 99, 97, among the best scores there. Okay, not the best score here in terms of the performance, but probably overall, if you put the two numbers together, probably the best one. And then came Elementor at some point with the lowest score, which is here 69 and 95 because I asked them to redo it. But at first, I think it was something like 56. So, wow. I was expecting a difference, maybe 5, 6%, something like that, but not 30% or something like that, 25% less. So I was pretty surprised about that. Also, lately, Paul Charton, that I really like. If you're watching this video, I really like your channel, really like your opinion, but was asking the question, is Elementor too big to fail? And of course, no builder is too big to fail. We saw that previously with other builders, but he was mentioning few points that I want to answer as well. In certain way, that's an answer to that video at the same time. So there are some bad sides to Elementor, okay? And first of all, as I mentioned, I'm an Elementor user. Of course, I've tried many, if not all, the builders out there. Of course, when you're used to one builder and you go to another one, you will always find that it's lacking something, or it's less intuitive or slower to develop, of course, because you're used to one. So we need to take that into account. But Paul was talking about few bad sides, and I do agree with him on a lot of those. First one, service support has been really bad for Elementor over the years. They are supposed to upgrade their price specifically to address that problem. Don't know. I personally never had any occasion or need to contact the customer support. I really do with different plugins that I use, never did with Elementor. So cannot talk about that. But of course, they are so big. Not that they don't care, sorry, about their customers. But of course, they have probably so many requests. We need to take that into account as well. So one can do so much in a day. Also, the lack of testing or communication before releasing update has been pinpoint, not necessarily by Paul's video, by the way. So it's not something that I want to, it's not against Paul's video. Of course, like I said, I really appreciate it. But last of communication before releasing, for example, an update in the case of Elementor, specifically talking about version 3, for example. Is it the case? Somebody answered in one of his live stream that they were working for Elementor, and they were, at least previously, and they were mentioning to the different add-on developers when they were releasing a new update and so on, and simply many add-ons developer, not all of them, but many simply didn't care or were waiting for Elementor to release the update before themselves updating their product. So is it that Elementor's fault? Is that Elementor's fault that it was so popular that we have, and we still see new add-ons regularly? I had most of them, almost all of them, a couple of years ago, and it's not the case anymore because we there are always new ones released, even though people say that Elementor is bad. So of course it's hard to keep cope with everything, but we need to take that into account. Also, yeah, I do agree with that thing that is called experiment. So let's go, for example, if I go to, sorry, this is in French. I should have, I'm going to change that. Just give me, we go. And I do agree that the experiments tab, a lot of things out there are not experiment anymore, especially this section here, which is stable features. Why is that in the experiment tab? It should go into the general tab. I 100% agree with that. It shouldn't be there. But still, maybe they plan to do so, or I don't know. But it doesn't mean that because we don't agree with the fact that it's there, that it's bad, or that it's not evolving. Because that's one of the other argument that Elementor is not evolving. We'll come back to that one later. No major improvement. Well, goes with that. There's no major improvement in Elementor. It used to be in the front, and now it's behind, according to some people, anyway. And it makes me think about Apple, for example, with the iPhone. Apple were really the leader, was the leader with the iPhone, something completely different. And of course, what happened? Android and other developer came and started to develop things, sometimes quickly. So some features that Apple didn't want to develop were developed in other phones because remember, of course, Apple only has one model at a time anyway. Now, a couple of models, Pro version and things like that, but basically it's one or two models at the same time. Now, of course, Android come with other features and so on, so it looked like, and the basis of feature anyway, that Apple was behind. But still, Apple, I'm using iPhone device, and I still feel that it's strong. It's easy to use. It's probably, I don't know. I think that it lasts for many years. Not necessarily the case with other devices. So anyway, don't go in that direction. But what I mean by that, of course, it was the number one leaders by so far that if they stopped developing at the same pace, it looks like they go behind. And it can be the same thing for Elementor. They were so revolutionary at the beginning that now people think that they stop moving, and it's not necessarily the case. And this isn't a good example here. What was the one thing people were complaining about, or the main thing anyway, that people were complaining about Elementor? What they call deception, too much bloated, and so on. So yeah, it's true in terms of feature, there's not a lot of new features, but they did improve it. Of course, they did optimize the DOM output, sorry. And if you tried it, it makes a lot of difference. Improve asset loading as well, of course. And you have also lately the Flexbox container. If you have tried it, it does make the page lighter, and so on. So they did improve in these main topic. And yeah, I know the notes or different things like that are probably not the feature that you were waiting for. But again, they do improve on some things. One bad thing, and I agree on that, is that they might not listen to their customers, what they ask, as much as they should. Probably true on that regard as well. So again, I'm not saying that Elementor is perfect. It's far from being perfect. But then again, is it as bad as we think it is? Um, One thing that is really, really, really bad on my side is the pricing. When Elementor rose their price about a year or two ago, I think it's ridiculous. And They even lowered it down right now, but again, it's just for the first year. And the pricing is so much bigger than it used to that it makes it not affordable for a lot of people. And I agree with that. But we need to see it in a different way as well, in certain way. I do agree that I, as a freelancer, will not pay for that. Okay, it's only 100 license, and it's way more than what I pay right now because I've been grandfathered. I have Elementor Pro since the beginning, and I'm not only paying $99 per year. So for the 1,000 website, by the way. So of course, I honestly I wouldn't pay for that. But I know that big companies will be able to pay for that. Agencies will be able to pay for that. So we need to take that into account. Secondly, other tools like Oxygen, for example, Bricks, and others that put the cost so low for a lifetime deal, is it a good thing? We know what is happening right now with Oxygen. We don't know. There's some blur about its future right now. Bricks will not stay like that in long term. But then again, right now it is a lifetime deal for a really low price. But it won't stay like that, first of all. And of course, it's too young, let's say it like that, to know whether it will be beneficial or not. Maybe in a few years we'll see that they will go out of business because of that pricing model. I don't know. I'm not saying it will, but it hasn't proved itself to be really big enough, let's say it like that, to be able to sustain many support requests and so on. So we don't know yet. So is Elementor again that bad? If I'm just a developer that has 25 website activation, is it enough? And like I've heard, by the way, on other live webcast and other Paul did it with somebody else. What you might want to do is simply develop the website and have the client pay for one license always and forever. That's all. That's theirs after that. Not necessarily you to have to pay for all the license that you give. So that's another topic, but it's one thing. So yes, it has a lot of bad sides. And if I would start today, I would probably not use Elementor, to be 100% honest with you. But then on the other side, there are some good sides as well. First of all, not all the builders, especially not the premium builders, let's call them like that, most of them don't have a free version. And you can build a lot of websites only with the free version of Elementor. So you need to take that into account. And of course, I personally, when I like a product, I don't really mind if it's not too big, of course, to pay for it because I want to support it. I want the developer to keep improving it and so on. If there was only Elementor free, of course, at some point it wouldn't be sustainable as well. So that's a good thing that there's a pro version as well. Um, Speed, there was some improvement. Speed has been uh, better a lot. So, for example, that really site that we talked about previously, I personally redid the same website with Elementor. And of course, I didn't spend as much time, so you might see things here and there that are not identical to the original one or to the Bricks one. This is the one that I did in Bricks. But let me compare the two scores. I've put it on the same server to make sure that's an NSTAT WP website. So I've put it back to that same server just to compare on the same server with the exact same specifications. Both of them use one plugin for that toggle here, an add-on. So let's see the Bricks score is 90% and 97%. Same thing as I had in my Fight Club here. That's pretty good. That's really good. No caching again, by the way. Okay. And here we have 203 kilobytes of size. And well, it's lower than what I had on the other server. So I don't know what happened on the other one. But anyway, so fonts are a lot smaller and so on. So 203 kilobytes and 22 requests. If I take a look at the Elementor that I've rebuilt, with following all the optimization, as we mentioned, and using the new technique with the Flexbox container, what is my score? 97, 96 and 95. 1% lower than Bricks. Is it lower? It is 1%. So if you're an Elementor user, does it really worth to leave it to go to another one for 1%? Up to you to decide. But it's not as bad as it might look, or some people will want you to think it is. Let's say it like that. And yes, if I take a look here at the page details, you see that maybe Bricks does some optimization on its size, because you see that it's about 3 times larger, mostly because of images and fonts here. And we have 69 requests. That's a lot. And don't forget, I have an add-on. It was a lot lower than that before that. So yes, is Elementor worse than this builder? Yeah. Is the score, is the performance that different? No. Lower? True. A lot of difference? No. So again, I'm currently using Elementor. I might switch to another one, Bricks, not to mention it. Yeah, Bricks still has some feature missing, to be honest, but taking a look at it and might switch to it, not too far from now. Okay. But again, Elementor is still a good choice for me, and for now, I'm still using that one when I need to create a new site. Now, if we add new features to Elementor, why do we want to add new features to Elementor, first of all? Because what will happen if we have new features, if Elementor continuously add new features to it, Elementor team? They will say it's bloated, it's too big. Some people start to complain about Bricks, for example, because it has added 3 new elements in the last update 1.5, and people start to cry, hey, or scream, hey, it will be too much bloated. Where don't put too much things inside of it. It's going to be the same thing for Elementor. Of course, we want it to improve, but do we want to constantly have new features that we might not use? Not necessarily. So I want to finish with that thing. First of all, Elementor might not be as bad as you think. Probably there are some things, well, there are 3 or 4 things to consider, I should say. First of all, the developer, of course, makes a difference. And you see here, I have 1%, and like I said, there are reasons. But of course, Elementor here score was low. Mine is good. Why is that? Well, because I use the new tools, my way of developing it might be different. Don't forget that a lot of people that are using Elementor are probably designers that don't know all the little intricacies of HTML, CSS, and so on. So might put too much styling and things like that, had too many nested elements and so on. And Elementor even did a video about that, by the way. So that puts a lot of weight, of course, on the page itself. So we need to consider that. A lot of people don't use Elementor the right way, if I should say it like that. Okay, the best way, let's say. So this is one thing. The other thing, don't add too many add-ons. It's not because there are hundreds of add-ons out there that have little things, little bells and whistles, like we say, that we need to add them. Of course, it will always add weight. And if you do add them, like I did for that website here, for my little switch, like I mentioned, lots, if not all, of the Elementor add-ons right now allows you to toggle off things that you don't use. Do it. In this particular case, I only used the switch box. Well, I deactivated everything else. So that's why it's not that big for nothing. So think about that. Use good practices, like I said. Okay? Use the features that they have added along the way. Most of them are not in experimental mode anymore, let's say it like that, so they can be used on the live website. And last thing, don't use Pro if you don't need Pro. Since I don't develop thousands of websites, and I have 1,000 license for Elementor Pro, I used to have Elementor Pro on every new site that I was building. And sometimes you don't need that. Don't forget that adding the Pro version of Elementor almost doubles the size of the site in terms of JavaScript and code that it loads. So if you don't need Elementor Pro, don't add it. If all you need, for example, is a form, maybe another form builder like, I don't know, Contact Form 7 or a Jet Builder or things like that, Jet Form Builder, can do the same thing or more, and could be, I didn't test it, but could be lighter. Of course, if you start to add two, three new features, don't add plugins for that. Then go with Elementor Pro. But if you want just one feature, maybe it's better to go with a smaller tool than Elementor Pro. So don't install Elementor Pro without thinking about it. That's what I mean. So I hope that it helps. I want to know your opinion because a lot of people are really, let's say it like that, verbose about being against Elementor, but it's still the builder that has the most users, the most users. I think that's something like 15 millions. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing, but anyway, more than 1 million, that's for sure. So they probably do something good. So it's time also that those that like Elementor probably speak up as well and say, yeah, it has some flaws, of course, but it's still the best builder, at least for me. And this is another thing. This was the conclusion of the Fight Club, by the way. Most builders are pretty close, so use the one that you're most comfortable with, that you prefer. The difference is not that big enough to say that this one is good, this one is bad. Okay, so choose one, and probably better to stick with it. I use a lot of them, or I test a lot of them to do videos and things like that. But I'm sticking to Elementor right now, testing a lot bricks, and when I feel it's ready, I will probably use that as well. Might use two, but that's me. Of course, you can use another tool. But I've tested most of the other ones. I've tested Breather, I've tested Breezy, I've tested not Builderius. I didn't understand that one coming. I tested Cadence, Oxygen, Pangro, Zion. I tested them all, and of course, Live Canva, which is almost a manual cutting thing. So that's probably why this one is not with the others. So I've tested them all, and more of the than those who are there, by the way. Others that are not there. So I'm not saying Elementor is the best one because I chose this one, but if you like it, stick it with it. So leave your comments below, and if you like this video, add a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to the channel as well for other videos like this one, and of course more training videos coming. Another one coming pretty soon is how to use Jet Engine uh, in Gutenberg instead of Elementor. So stay tuned and have a good day.